Hi, my name's Megan, and welcome to the channel where we normally talk all things travel. But since travel is the last thing I would recommend you do right now, we've instead shifted to talking about the current situation, which will remain unnamed because YouTube really doesn't want us talking about it. I'm very excited about today's video because I've actually teamed up with 4 different friends living on 4 different continents around the world to give us an inside look at what's really happening in their city. If you're like me, which you probably are, and are self-isolating somewhere, I hope this video will help give you an idea about what's going on around the world outside the 4 walls you maybe haven't left in a few days or weeks.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Tori Landry and I have a YouTube channel all about empowering people to face their biggest fears in life. And right now I just ended a 1-year-long backpacking trip to come back home to Ottawa, Canada.
Hey, I'm Camille. I've been traveling full-time as a digital nomad for over 7 years, although I recently bought a part-time home base with my boyfriend in Bansko, a mountain town in Bulgaria. But I could not go back to the town where I own my apartment because it's in full lockdown, it's closed. So I'm stuck in an Airbnb in Sofia waiting for it to reopen.
Hey everyone, I'm Andrea. I'm a fellow digital nomad and the founder of Work Wondrous. We offer co-living and co-working retreats for digital nomads in locations around the world. I'm currently in Cape Town, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Chelsea. I'm a life coach and digital nomad. I'm currently in Da Nang, Vietnam. I help burnt out high achievers redefine success and create inspired, purposeful lives.
Question number 1. Briefly describe the current situation in your city.
Yeah, so I guess I've been in Ottawa now for about 5 days and everyone is on quarantine and everything seems to be closed except for pharmacies, clinics, grocery stores, maybe a few restaurants, but obviously you can only do takeout or, walk-ins and whatnot, but everything here seems to be pretty dead and very ghost-like.
As of March 30th, there are currently 359 known cases in Bulgaria, including 8 deaths. So the country is currently under a state of emergency until the 13th of April, and the government is continuing to take new measures every few days. Currently, you can only go out to shop at supermarkets, so only to buy groceries or go to the pharmacy. And starting on Saturday, there will be a new rule that people have to wear a mask to go out.
I'm currently in Cape Town and the current situation in South Africa has become very intense in the last few days. There is a 21-day lockdown that's been put in place. We're currently on day 3. There are 1,170 infections at this time and 1 death.
In Vietnam right now, there are currently 203 cases as of March 30th. 52 have been released from the hospital, so there's only really 151 active cases and 0 deaths. Many of those infected individuals were intercepted at the airport prior to being exposed to the community at all. So as of right now, there's no evidence of community transmission.
Moving right on to question number 2, which is to briefly describe the vibe in your city in just 1 word.
Okay, let's see. If I had to use one word to describe Ottawa right now, I'd probably use the word uncertain.
So I would say the vibe in Sofia is quiet.
What's the vibe in your city right now? Anxious.
Cautious.
And since a photo is worth 1,000 words, how about the vibe of your city in just 1 picture?
The photo that I'm sharing with you guys today is actually a photo taken in front of our Parliament Hill building where there is usually tons of tourists, tons of government workers just kind of covering the streets. But obviously with everything being shut down, our streets right here in Canada, especially here in Ottawa, are pretty deserted and pretty quiet except for the odd person bringing their dog out for a walk.
So the photo I'm sharing with you today is not very exciting, but unfortunately that's what I see every day because we are in strict quarantine, so I can only take a picture from my balcony. However, it gives you an idea of what the city is like. It's pretty dead, not a lot of life, people are staying at home.
This photo was taken outside of a bottle store in the center of town. It shows people lining up to buy alcohol as the day before, the president put a 21-day ban on alcohol and cigarette sales in place. So people were lining up to get their booze.
The beach is everything here. Most people go to the beach every day. So that has been shut down, which makes sense. I know that it wouldn't be a real lockdown if everything was the same as normal. So I totally get that it's part of it. But that is a pretty big change.
In general, how would you say the people around you are responding?
Well, Megan, obviously there's a lot of fear going around right now, but people are responding well in the sense that they are staying home. They are trying to be as supportive to other Canadians as much as possible. But at the end of the day, there's just definitely still a lot of fear going around about what's going to happen with people's financial situations and what's going to happen to obviously the people around us that we love and are worried about.
People seem to be taking the measures in stride here, and I haven't really read stories of people breaking the rules in major ways. There have been a few fines for people who went to the park, which is forbidden, and were working there on their own. However, I haven't really heard accounts of mass gatherings or parties or group meetups anywhere. One thing I would say is that people are a bit worried about actually implementing the rules right, because, for instance, the imposition of having to wear a mask to go out, a lot of people are not sure where they can procure a mask. It's not been made obvious how to get one. So there is more worry about how to actually abide by the law and follow the rules.
As of Friday, there was a 21-day lockdown put in place. People streamed to stores and grocery stores on Friday during the lockdown to go get their food. Unfortunately, many people only got paid that day and didn't get a chance to stockpile. So on the first day of the lockdown, people were queued up in lines by the hundreds, and there was definitely no social distancing. So unfortunately at this time, people are still concerned about the basic necessities.
So on day one of the lockdown, the beach in Da Nang was still so crowded. People were running out and about. Basically, like, nothing had really changed. The city of Da Nang brought in policemen to really enforce the rules. And there's signs everywhere in Vietnamese and English saying, like, no swimming, you must wear a mask, no groups of 10, no water activities of any kind, no volleyball, no sports, nothing like that. So they've gotten a lot stricter in the past just 2 days with the rules at the beach, and that they're not even allowing people on the beach at all any longer. And there's policemen reinforcing all of these rules now.
And question number 4, what are you most concerned about in your particular city?
Well, to be honest, I'm really quite worried about what's going to happen to our community and economy moving forward.
In Bansko, in Sofia, and in Bulgaria, but also in the world in general, I'm worried that there is a fear of others growing, and also a little bit of anti-foreigner sentiment as the media are building this narrative sometimes of the virus being brought into countries by travelers, by foreigners, and we've heard some stories of some anti-foreigner actions and movements.
Myself, along with the rest of South Africa, is very concerned that this virus will spread into our informal settlements. Almost a quarter of the population, some 15 million people, live in these informal settlements where there is terrible hygiene standards, people live in very close proximity to each other, and there is no social distancing by any means. Also, people live in very, very small houses, with 6 people at times, even more, and it becomes impossible. So we are very concerned that if it does get there, it'll spread like wildfire, and our already stretched healthcare system won't be able to cope.
As of right now, I don't have any concerns. I think that the city of Da Nang is handling the lockdown and everything quite well.
What measures, if any, has your government taken to slow the spread of the current pandemic?
And honestly, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with how well Canada has been responding to what's been going on, and their communication has been really great. I know they have a website that they're updating every hour, so people, businesses, everybody knows what's going on and what is available to them to help them get through this crisis.
The Bulgarian government has been pretty reactive and started implementing measures early. So right now, under the state of emergency that is going to last until mid-April, in addition, borders are closed except to residents and citizens of the country. People who re-enter the country from abroad, like us, have to go under quarantine for 14 days currently. However, the government is talking about even extending that to 28 days in strict quarantine. From Saturday onwards, people will have to wear a mask to go out into public spaces. And the fines here that are imposed if people break the rules are very deterrent. They are fining people for up to a few €1,000, and you also risk time in jail if, for instance, you break your quarantine or you are found hanging out in the park when you're not allowed to. Another strict measure is that inter-regional travel within the country itself is also very restricted, so people have to fill in an authorization form, and there are different checkpoints around the country. So to be able to go out of the region you are currently in and go to a different part of Bulgaria, you have to have a very valid, urgent reason. So it can be a professional reason because you're trying to regain your home, or for medical reasons.
Our government has been very proactive in trying to curb the spread, and we are so grateful. He has put a very strict 21-day lockdown in place. You are, however, not allowed to leave your house. You can't walk the dog. You can't go for a jog. There is a 21-day ban on alcohol and cigarettes, and everything's closed.
Vietnam took many measures. They closed their borders very early. They haven't been issuing visas for foreigners for a while now. And the lockdown is pretty similar to what it's like in many other countries. All the restaurants and cafes have shut down. A lot of them are still doing takeout, which is awesome. The only businesses that are really open are the 24-hour marts, the supermarkets, and the pharmacies. So basically just really the essentials.
What is one thing, in your opinion, that has made social distancing, self-isolation, or full-on quarantine more bearable?
Oh, hands down, the online community that is coming out of this. I've seen some of the best entertainment, some of the best stories. I mean, people are sharing free classes, free courses. I mean, even musicians are doing free concerts in their house. It's honestly been really cool to watch.
So today, my boyfriend and I are on day 12 of our 14 days of strict quarantine in our rented Airbnb in Sofia. Yay! So things that have kept us going and positive is to, well, first of all, to actually stay positive and stay productive. We've developed a morning routine, so we've actually picked up yoga, so that's the first thing we do when we wake up. We do a yoga session, then followed by a workout, and some days we also add a Wim Hof breathing session, which is great for relaxing you and is also supposed to boost your immune system a little bit. We have not been ordering food in at all, which I'm very proud of, so we've been cooking meals together. And another thing that's really greatly helped was connecting with our friends, and in particular we play board games online with our friends, like Catan.
Well, we are on a 21-day lockdown. It's currently day 3, and what I found that keeps me going is staying productive and setting a routine for myself. I try and set 3 achievable goals every day so that I can feel that I've actually accomplished something during the day, and that keeps me motivated.
What has made this most bearable for me, having Grab delivery, first of all, so amazing to have most any food that I want at my fingertips. And honestly, just minimizing my news consumption as much as possible. I think there is this feeling in times like these that in order to be responsible, like citizens of the world, we need to be aware. But do we need to spend all day getting the latest updates on the latest numbers and the latest death count and all of that? No. Also, just remembering that social distancing doesn't have to mean social isolation. And so grateful that we have things like Zoom and Skype, and we have ways to really stay connected.
And then looking outside of your city, what is it that you're most concerned about globally in relation to the pandemic?
I guess my biggest concern on a global scale is more or less just how countries, especially developing countries, are going to bounce back from this crisis.
Well, there are a few things that I'm concerned about globally. The first, of course, is the economy, because there is no doubt in my mind that this is going to have a profound and probably lasting effect on the economy, and people are already losing their jobs, and it's probably going to continue. People losing some income. Even personally, I know that I'm struggling because I had the very good idea to leave my job a few weeks before this started, and I was planning to start a new venture, but having to put it on hold for now. Another thing is what I previously mentioned, this lack of compassion and fear of others that I feel are growing right now. And I get the feeling that some of the people who actually catch the virus and who become sick or blamed or accused instead of being considered as victims of an illness.
I'm most concerned about the travel industry going forward after this crisis. We have no idea when these travel regulations will be lifted and people will be able to travel freely again. It directly affects my business, but it also affects my community, who are digital nomads from all over the world who are used to traveling freely, and a lot of them don't have a home base. So we are trying to provide support to them in this time and hoping that once we can contain the spread, we'll be able to travel again.
One thing I'm worried about globally is just fear-mongering and panic. So I believe it's up to each of us to turn our panic into preparedness. When you start to feel all amped up and worried, ask yourself, are there any real actions you're planning on taking based on these worry thoughts? And if not, just try your best to let them go.
Finally, number 8, last question. Do you have any parting advice or tips before we sign off?
Yeah, I guess on a final note, obviously there's a lot of fear of the unknown going around right now, and that is totally normal. But what we need to remember is that we can't control what happens to us, right? Obviously, we can't control what's going on right now, but we certainly can control how we react to it. And I think it's just important now more than ever to respond in a positive way and to support each other and to be there for other people. Fear has this tendency to segregate ourselves and to really isolate ourselves, looking out for only our own well-being. But I think it's more important now than ever to support people, to be there for others, to think about others, and to really give as much as we can to people in our community, to people around the world, and to just support each other through this crisis.
Stay positive, stay curious, stay compassionate, and take this time to recenter yourselves and focus on what you can improve. If there's anything new you want to try, whether it's a new form of exercise, learning a language, starting a new business, a new stream of income. And also spend some time outside if you can, in the sun, if you're in a country where you can do that. And like me right now, I'm catching a bit of vitamin D, which really does wonders for the mind and for your mental health.
The best advice I can give is don't become complacent. You have all this time available to you now to do all the projects that you've been setting aside for ages. So get onto it and feel productive and motivate yourself, as you're the only one that can do that.
And yeah, so right now, my biggest piece of advice is just stay focused on what you can control. There is so much going on right now that we cannot control, right? We can't control the external events. We can't control if people stay in their houses or if they go outside. Let's focus on what we can control. And we absolutely can control our outlook, our perspective. We can control our own actions. We can control the food that we're eating. We can make sure we're eating healthy food. We can control the people we're talking to. So we can try to be talking to as uplifting of people as possible. We can control the shows we watch, the things that we're consuming. So let's just try to remain focused on what is within our control. And it's more than you think.
If you're curious to learn more about what's happening around the world, or if you just want to have the most up-to-date information, I've linked below a really cool tool. It's called Flatten the Curve, and it's essentially a map that has every country in the world on it, and it's going to give you updates like what new restrictions have been put in place, how many deaths there have been, how many cases there are. Basically everything you would want to know about what's happening in relation to this situation and that country. It's completely free to use and it's really cool. Huge thank you to Tori, Camille, Andrea, and Chelsea for partnering with me on this video. I've actually linked all of their information down below. They're pretty kick-ass entrepreneurs and long-term travelers, so I highly recommend you check them out. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you're all staying safe, healthy, and sane. I think it would be really helpful if we all just left down in the comments one thing that we're doing to make this a little bit easier on us. For me, it would be a little bit of exercise, and it's making all the difference. Let us know where you are, what you're doing in this situation, and thank you again for watching. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up on your way down to the comments section, and I'll see you back here again next week. Bye.